Hello everyone, welcome to William and the Magic Box. Today on our show, we are going to have Dr. Andrew. Dr. Andrew is from Long Island in the USA. So let's see what Dr. Andrew has to say. Enjoy the interview. Hello Andrew.
Hi, how are you, William?
I'm very well. How are you doing today?
Good, good. Well, thank you for inviting me. I'm excited for this conversation.
Amazing. So tell me, how's your day been so far, Andrew?
It's actually been a really peaceful day. I got to get some writing in. I did a lot of my podcast social media, and there's a frenzy going on my podcast TikTok right now with the Real Housewives. I'm very into the Housewives, and this video is going viral. I think it has almost 80,000 views right now.
Oh my God, amazing. Wow. So tell me, as you already mentioned about your podcast, so tell me a little bit about it.
So it's called the Ivory Tower Boiler Room, and the name derives from myself as an academic. Usually they would refer to it as the Ivory Tower. This was the traditional concept.
Okay.
And 3 years ago, during the pandemic, I wasn't on campus anymore. We all had to, like everyone else, work remotely. And I had this idea. I was started listening to podcasts and really was using it as motivation, like listening to pop culture podcasts, political podcasts, anything I could get my hands on. And I realized there were no literature podcasts that I easily could get. So I decided to create this mixture of academic with myself as a host meets the boiler room of the arts and culture process, right? Because a boiler room is hidden, but it helps fuel an entire building. So it's how the sausage gets made.
Amazing. And so you have different guests like every week. How does it work your schedule?
So it is weekly interviews. And then so there's 2 episodes a week. There's the interview show that I do on Mondays. And then there is a special true crime and academia show that my um, friend and contributor, Mary DePippi, does on Fridays.
I
But
see.
yeah, usually I'm always interviewing on Mondays, but sometimes I like to throw in a wrench and do a special expose about maybe a new piece of writing I've just done. I even did one about going to Fire Island and feeling empowered about being naked on the beach.
Wow.
So it runs the gamut, but it's really all about just film, literature, TV, musical theater, which I have a background in. So passions of mine fuel the interviews, like who I'm bringing on to the show.
Amazing. It's a way as well to express yourself, I believe.
Exactly, just like your show. I mean, William and the Magic Box. It's such a expression of freedom, isn't it? And authenticity about your creative work.
Absolutely. And so tell me where you're from, Andrew.
So originally I'm from South New Jersey, Southern Jersey. We would just say South Jersey, but I know because you're based in England, I have to preface it for whoever's listening. But yeah, born and raised 20 minutes from Philadelphia. Then I went to undergrad in North Jersey, about 25 minutes to Manhattan. So moved up in New Jersey. And then now I'm actually east of New York City on Long Island. And I've been here for about 9 years. And I'm like an hour and 15 from Manhattan, an hour to the Hamptons. I live right on the north by a beach in Port Jefferson. Shout out to Port Jeff. It's such a pretty town. But please, because I shouted out, don't like steal my table at the cafes. Uh, I still want my space here, but I'm also 25 minutes to Fire Island, which is why I'm usually at Fire Island a lot during the summer. I'm always at a beach in the summer. I don't go to Manhattan in the summer. I tell all my friends, please come to the beach towns. I'm not going into the sweltering heat of the city. I reserve Manhattan for I think it's so beautiful in the fall, the spring, especially the fall. There's nothing like New York City in the fall.
Okay, Andrew. So during the journey, I'm going to explore a little bit more about your podcasts and also about your point of views in life. Okay?
Of course. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Are you ready to go on a beautiful journey through your memories in life and to share your point of views?
I'm ready. I am ready for whatever you throw my way, William. It's like therapy here.
Absolutely. Welcome to William and the Magic Box. So I've got here my lovely box. Full of wonderful questions. So I'm just gonna play a song now for us to relax a bit before the first question, okay?
Yep. Okay,
Let's
sounds
do
good.
it. Okay, Andrew. So during the journey, if it comes up a question that you don't want to talk about for some reason, you don't want to answer, always can change, okay? Amazing.
Yes, sounds good.
Right, first question for you is, which person do you talk to the most?
Oh, which of my parents do I talk to the most?
No, which person? Which person do you
Oh,
talk to the
person,
most?
sorry. I was gonna say, if I have to answer my parents, I'm an only child. That would be a really sour subject. Um, which person do I talk to the most? Well, my parents actually, but because I am an only child, I would say if I had to choose, it's probably probably because he answers the phone more, my father.
Right.
But yeah, so my father, I would say I talk to the most.
And tell me, how was growing up as a gay boy, being the only child?
So it was definitely an interesting experience because I came out when I was 15. So I was a
Uh-huh.
freshman in high school. And it's hard for me to distinguish between like what was my creative passion and what was my coming out process. Because I feel like they actually are together. That like my artistic passion for really speaking out about I mean, now I can reflect back on it. Like I always wanted to speak out for the underdog or like those who are misunderstood. And a lot of that had to do with unpacking my own sexuality. But all of that's to say, as I come out in at the age of 15, um, I was thankful to have parents who supported me.
Mhm.
Uh, it was a journey. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It
Yeah.
wasn't a journey where I was nervous, like in fear of coming out. I knew I would be accepted. It was more just a journey, I think, of maybe realizing that as an only child, like I wasn't going to follow a traditional heterosexual type coupling that my parents had experienced. So, yeah, but now my parents, they've been to Philadelphia's Pride Parade with me. They're the biggest advocates. They really support my homoerotic work that I do in academic work, my teaching, the podcast. And I always tell them some conversations are steamy and uncensored, and maybe they don't want to listen to it because they are such cheerleaders that they will listen to everything I do. And I'm like, sometimes you don't have to know about my exploits or like things that are going to get a little risque. Like it's okay. I appreciate the support from afar.
Oh, sweet. Very good. Next one, let's do it. Right. Next question is, what is your favorite TV show?
Oh. My favorite TV show, I would say changes every month, but I definitely like if you thought that you were going to get short answers, William, you're with the wrong person. No, but I would say right now it's Vanderpump Rules just because of the Scandival. I don't know how much you know about it, but there was like Tom Sandoval was cheating on his wife Ariana, and then he ended up with another cast member named Raquel. So right now it's Vanderpump Rules, but I would say I think of all time, it has to be like if I always want to return to a TV show. Uh, I would actually say The White Lotus season 2 was probably the best TV show that I've seen in the last 10 years.
And why is that?
Well, The White Lotus is such an escape show. I love the resort lifestyle. I like the mystery thriller aspect. It's very horror meets psychology. And I'm a big horror fan and a thriller fan as a genre. So I would say that, and the cast was just so wonderfully done. Like, I like a show where there's a lot of twists and turns. And for me, that was The White Lotus.
All right. Next question. Let's do it. Before the next one, actually, I should have asked in the beginning if I should call you Dr. Andrew or just Andrew, because I was checking your profile and I could see that you literally just graduated right now. Yeah. So
Yeah.
tell me about the experience, the journey.
So it's a journey. It was 9 years. And
Wow.
but what I've really learned from getting my PhD is figuring out my voice in terms of reaching the public. So like, I wouldn't be here right now with you if I didn't go through the journey. And it's not just because of the training in literature, so to speak. I think it's more like everything that I was doing when I teach, when I write, when I talk to the public, I was always looking for ways to learn more about narrative. So I'm really into learning about the narrative of a TV show like The White Lotus, like we just brought up, the narrative of a musical, the narrative of a podcast, the narrative of a traditional book that, you know, I'm a huge fan of literature. And, you know, even when I'm reading or writing about Whitman's poetry, there's something always I'm drawn to arts and culture because you're always surprised. It's such an emotional process. And I think we need more of that imagination right now.
Very good. Next question is talking about your parents. What is the most memorable lesson you've learned from your parents?
I've learned so much. Well, I actually was just having a conversation with my parents about this. I learned how to express myself, but also more importantly, not only about expressing myself, but I've taught this lesson because my parents have enforced it in me, which is to speak up for yourself and to not let others take advantage of your energy. Like, especially when you're such a creative person, I feel that you want to do so much for other people and be a people pleaser, but you also have to protect your own health. So that's something I've learned from my parents.
And how do you do that to protect your energy from the outside world?
Self-care in its simplest form, but I mean, self-care is used a lot as a term. But for me, like, even before I sat down with you, I took a bubble bath, I read, I like reflected on what did I want to communicate to William. Like, I think you need that time of tuning out white noise, like just really figuring out what is it inside yourself and in your heart that you want to spread with those that you're going to encounter today. Like, what do you need to share this specific day?
And tell me so far today, what's your heart wants to share genuinely? What's coming through your heart right now?
The power of community, I would say, of connecting with others, especially, I think there's so much going on in terms of thinking. I mean, I can speak for the LGBTQ community, but I think right now so many feel that they're being questioned. And like, my heart is saying, no, be your authentic self, celebrate your individuality, and let the haters just go to their corners, because the haters are going to hate. But what's most important is that you surround yourself with people who empower you.
Absolutely. Very good. Next question, Andrew. Let's do it. All right. Next question is, what makes you very sentimental?
Uh, the Titanic movie? No, that was a flippant response. I would say sentimental. I mean, how are you defining sentimental, William?
For me, being sentimental could be different ways. For example, if I see something, as you said, about the LGBTQ community being treated in a way that's, not equal, that can make me sentimental because somehow, I'm part of the community as well. Even though I mean, live in a place where I can express the way I am, I can be
Mm.
myself, but I know and I'm aware that some places it's not like that. Actually, the lovely guy I was talking to, I told you before, he was in Fire Island. He was sharing about the situation in the US right now about
Mm.
trans, about the community, and I knew it as well. And it's that makes me sentimental because people, they cannot be themselves. I think all of us in this world, we are living a life to be our truly self. It doesn't matter how, it doesn't matter what you feel. And when trans or any other community, they want to be themselves, and somehow the outside world stop them, say, okay, you cannot be yourself for XYZ reasons. That makes me sentimental. At the same time as well, when I see someone, like for you, like, yes, like you just graduate, when I see someone living their best life as well, I can get sentimental in a different way. So
Mhm.
it can go both ways.
Yeah. Okay. So I would definitely say when I think of sentimental, it's more in that last section you just described because I always think of it as nostalgia in a way,
Yeah.
maybe. So I would say right now to me, what's so sentimental in my life after getting my PhD and now that I'm Dr. Andrew Rimby, as you said, I have to like start owning that term. I know I'm in a moment of transformation and transition, and I know that I'm probably not going to stay, like I might stay where I'm living, but something major has changed in just not because of just being a PhD, but just my career is changing. And it's so exciting, but I also am now reflecting on how I got here and my studies and the students who have inspired me and educators, my professors who've inspired me. Like it just feels like a full circle moment, but I've been thinking a lot about the last 9 years. Just random memories are coming to my mind and pop up.
Amazing, very good.
Mm.
Ready for the question?
Yes. Yeah, yeah.
Let's do it. Next one. Next question is, when was the last time that you cried and why?
Mm. It's going to be a journey to figure that out. Not that I don't cry. It's just, well, it was probably actually no. I remember when I cried. Um, going through the cobwebs in my mind. It was about I don't know. Whenever you're hearing this on May, let me just make sure. May 17th. Yes, I had my doctoral ceremony, and I didn't cry on that day, but like I think the next day I just cried to myself. Usually I'm crying by myself. And it was a reflection of this moment of, wow, this actually just happened to me in my life. And wait, I'm not going to be at this college anymore. What's next? And it was a beautiful cry and
Mhm.
meaningful. It wasn't a sadness. It's again, there's something very nostalgic about it.
It's like a beautiful journey finishing and another one is starting at the same time. And I think
Mhm.
that's the transaction between both, what I mean, journeys that gets you to the point you're gonna go like, oh my God, I'm not gonna be there anymore. This sharing
Yeah.
the experience here with people, sometimes difficult, sometimes, amazing. And we start something new that's gonna, happen a lot of things on the way. So I
Yeah.
understand this
Yeah.
transaction make us feel emotional somehow. And as you said, you cannot cry maybe the moment, but somehow you feel it's gonna hit you somehow at one point.
Exactly. Yes. All of that.
Next one. But before the next one, tell me what was the most difficult part for you to get to the end of your PhD? What's for you? What was the most challenging part?
So the most challenging part is not for me personally. So many are going to have different responses. Um, I thought it was the actual process of writing a dissertation,
Yeah.
but it's actually not the writing that was difficult. It was second guessing myself and trying to become a perfectionist. And for a long time, I thought everything had to be I's dotted, T's crossed, nothing could be messy, like nothing could be unanswered. And then I realized, oh, I have to have fun with this. Like, this is my writing. This is something I own. I need to be surprised with it. Like, don't think that it has to fit all these boxes and that it has to line up in the way it had in my notes. So I'm such an I used to be, I think I'm starting to realize I can be more spontaneous, but I used to be such an analytic person. Like everything was outlined. And then now I realized I can have some notes, that's fine, and do my research, but have to surprise myself and have fun. I need to have fun.
Next question is, good question. If you're not yourself, would you like to be yourself and why?
Well, I definitely feel that I know who Andrew Rimby is now. If you had asked me that during the pandemic, as I was going through therapy, I probably would have had a different, or before therapy, I was actually experiencing panic attacks like a year into the pandemic. And a lot of that was this pressure of like having to be on Zooms all the time, like thinking I had to be present for everyone and like not having community. It was having community online was so important, but at the same time, I wasn't allowing myself to disconnect. And, now I know who Andrew Rimby is, which basically is an unapologetic gay literary scholar. Like I wear my identity on my sleeves and I'm not worried about who I'm pleasing or not. Like I really know that I'm doing something important and no one is going to take that away from me.
When was the moment that you realized that?
Definitely, I would say actually about a year ago. It was probably because I had a Broadway musical course I was teaching. And in that course, it was so full of a topic I was passionate. I mean, I'm passionate about all the courses, but it was the first semester where we were back on campus fully, like where I was able to take my students to theater and experience that live theater again. We went to Broadway. I took them to Phantom of the Opera and Wicked. And I think because it was such a group of energized students and we all just wanted to enjoy theater and musicals, I also realized that I was finding my own writing. It was exciting. Like opportunities were happening. I was back to conferences. I got to go to San Francisco for the first time. So I think my podcast also was reaching a new level, like where I was interviewing New York Times bestsellers and I was interviewing Broadway performers and pop culture experts, like, and academics, but things were just taking off in a new level. So I was finding that this is what I'm meant to do. Like that for me was the moment it clicked of, okay, this is who Andrew is, and this is what I'm supposed to be doing with my life.
Amazing. 3 questions left for you. Let's do it. Next question is, what is one thing you can't live without?
I definitely cannot live without probably coffee, if we have to be honest. I was thinking, like, can I live without I would say I couldn't live without books, which is probably true, but there are audiobooks, so I could get around it by listening to audiobooks. Um, no, I would say coffee. I like have imagined like weaning myself off of coffee and trying mushroom coffee or these other alternatives, which I'm sure it's fine. But I just love that taste of coffee. Like, I don't even think it's the caffeine because everyone who knows me knows I'm just energetic. Um, but I just love it. I love an iced coffee. Like, there's nothing like I am a true uh, basic gay. I like my iced coffee. I like my pumpkin spice latte, and I don't care. Like I will own it.
Do you consider yourself to be more of a day or night person?
Mm. Oh, definitely. I'm more productive in the day. I'm a day person when it comes to work. At night, yeah, no, I've never really been a night owl. I've had to force myself to
Mhm.
work at night. I work out at night though. Like, but to me, anything up until 10 p.m., I'm fine. And then once it's 10 p.m., I need to be watching TV or I'm just zoned out. Like I can't focus anymore.
Two questions left. Let's do it. Before the next one, tell me when was the idea for you to put your podcast together? When you thought, okay, that's my idea. That's how I'm gonna express myself, and I'm gonna connect with people. I'm gonna explore the podcast area. When was the idea?
So it happened in August of 2020. And I actually was already doing media. So it's not like this podcast was almost like Venus rising from the ocean and the foam. It was, I had already been doing work with teachers. I had won a fellowship from Public Humanities New York, is what the fellowship is called. And I was creating this interactive Whitman exhibit. So Walt Whitman and his poetry was being taught to students on Long Island, and I was behind how it was going to be taught, what this new exhibit would look like, adding videos. So I think once I started to realize that I was using videos, and I had been using audio and video in my teaching, I have my students use what's called VoiceThread, which I love. It's almost like a podcast. So I would record a message to my students with my video, then they would all respond within that week with their own recordings. And I didn't realize it, but we were creating a podcast episode. So in August, when I realized, okay, I think I could get this idea of a podcast going on Spotify and Apple and all the podcast platforms, I knew enough to know how to edit a podcast. I mean, now we have ads, now we have music, like things have reached a professional corporate level of podcasting. Like I have a small business certificate, it's all very official. But yeah, that's my advice though for anyone who asks me. I get a lot of people, like I'm sure you do, William, asking about our shows and their advice if they should start one. And I always say, do a lot of research. Like I am all about researching podcasts. I listen to so many genres because I'm interested, but I also want to hear what's the guest like? How does this host communicate? What kind of music do they use? Every podcast has a very different style, which is what the audience loves.
All right. Next question for you is, do you think your priorities have changed since you were younger?
I mean, instinctively, I would say, doesn't everyone? Hopefully, we all evolve with our priorities. I hope. But yes, my priorities. Okay, actually, yes and no. It's a mixed bag. I would say that my priorities now are more about realizing talent around me, like those that I communicate with in my life. Like we all see each other's talents. And I think when I was younger, I really only saw this I could talk about high school. Like I saw, what did I want Andrew? Where did I want him to be? I wanted to get a PhD. Like I knew that since I was in high school. That actually came from my English teachers, Mr. Valario, who I actually still talk to. So I'll bring him up. And then sadly, one of my teachers who passed away from cancer, Mr. Lawler, who had a partner or a husband. I'm not sure if they were married, but he actually is the one who like explored LGBTQ literature with me. I like found my queer male voice in his class with the work he assigned us. So after those classes, I knew where I wanted to be, and I knew that I knew I was going to do it. Like I manifested, I'm going to get a PhD. I'm going to like enter into entertainment. I actually wanted to be on Broadway. That was like, so that's why I'm saying it's a mixed bag. Like when I was younger, I'm thinking, okay, Andrew's going to be on Broadway and have his name in a marquee. But I am in entertainment and it's a different pathway. But I always say it's so good to continue to have that child voice in your head, like have those dreams in your head. Like, don't let that voice go. Just realize, though, there's going to be a pathway that isn't going to adhere to what your dream vision is. But, keep the dream.
I love that, and I totally believe as well. I think we always should, this inner child that all of us we have, let it some express flow as well sometimes, you know what I mean? Let it just come out as well, and just be silly, be yourself, express the way you are, and it's a kind of a therapy for you as well, to relax, to be yourself, you know what I mean? I strongly believe as well that never let it die, always keep it here, always.
Yes,
That's the
I
beauty.
agree.
That's the beauty.
Yes.
Ready for the last
100%.
one?
Yes, please.
Last question, let's do it. But before the last question, through your journey to get your PhD, tell me a moment that you're never gonna forget. When you think about your journey, go like, you know what, that moment, it's always gonna have a special place in my heart for any reason. What that would be?
Oh, I would say it was probably 2019. I will always remember when we were celebrating Whitman's 200th birthday in 2019. It was a big deal in the New York area. And I actually organized with my advisor, Dr. Susan Shekel. We organized this Whitman symposium. So all these presenters came, and I took a risk where I had seen this Whitman opera called Crossing by Matt Aucoin, a young composer, still young, around my age. I'm 30. He's not that much older. And I was so inspired by how male same-sex desire was explored in his opera that I actually found his email and reached out to him. And I didn't know it then, but that was the beginning of how I realized the power of networking and taking risks. And that's how I started my podcast, is I would just find guest emails, and now people reach out to me, but it was an evolution. Like I always say, just take that risk. So I will always remember 2019 because it was the moment where I realized I went for it, and I didn't let anyone try to pull me back. Like I just knew that I was going to get Matt Aucoin to bring his opera to Stony Brook University, and it happened.
Great. Last question now, tough question for you. If your plane was going down, yeah, and you could call just one person to say goodbye, who that would be?
Oh my. This is a dark ending of the interview. I didn't know that I was going to be in an episode of Lost or Survivor. I think if I had to call someone, this is like Sophie's Choice with Meryl Streep. Well, it's actually an easy out for me. I would call my parents' house number and they probably would both be on the phone. So I would call my parents' home number. There you go. And they would probably
Very,
have me on speakerphone.
very clever you are. I love the answer. Very clever.
Yeah.
Right, so the end yet. Let's play now the word association game. Okay, I'm going to give away some words. Just tell one word that comes to your mind. Quick thinking. So, I hope you are enjoying the interview. Before we do the word association game, don't forget to give a like, don't forget to share this video, and also don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Just click on the button right there. Thank you so much and enjoy the word association game. Let's start with politics.
Gray area.
Okay. Money.
Oh, what comes to my mind? Career.
Okay. Love.
Connection.
Family.
Empowerment.
Life.
Happiness.
Sex.
Pleasurable.
Religion.
Unique.
Fear.
I know it's one word, but I would, in our mind.
Okay. Friendship.
Beauty.
Desire.
Complicated.
Regret.
Don't have them.
Success.
Individual preference.
Wish. I love it. Wish.
Wish. A daily mantra.
Happiness.
Fulfillment.
One word for Long Island.
One word for Long Island. Well, that's easy. Homonoc, which is the Native American term for Long Island.
What's the name again?
It's called Homonoc. Paumanok. It means, it was the Native American term for Long Island since they were here first.
I love it. Made my day now. Learned something new. One word for USA.
Oh, is that the question of the year or century? I would say multi-layered.
Okay. One word for Ivory Tower Boiler Room podcast.
Passionate.
And the last one now, Dr. Andrew. One word.
Authentic.
Amazing. Let's pretend I'm going to meet your best friend for a coffee, and I'm going to ask your best friend, what is the most beautiful thing about Dr. Andrew, and what's something that he still needs to work on, to improve on? What your best friend would say?
Probably. I actually asked my best friends this, so that's funny. Probably that you always know where Andrew stands with you, that he will be honest, and that he is always striving to do better in his life. But the fault would be that he could be a workaholic and needs to take time for himself, and needs to do better with realizing that he can just relax.
Do you see some work in progress regarding that?
Yes, no, I'm in progress with that. The self-care methods are helping.
Amazing, very good.
Yeah.
Let's play now Dr. Andrew and the Magic Box, and you can ask me a question. All right, you can ask me a question now.
I really just like meeting you, William. There's such a beauty I can tell about how, like, even in your dancing, I actually want to ask it about your dancing because I'm finding it fascinating. You have such a light when you're dancing, Is this something that is culturally present in your life? Like dancing seems to be very foundational for your spirit.
My God, I'm all got goosebumps all over my body with your question because it's such a beautiful and powerful question, and I tell you why. I love the question. You know, dancing for me, it's something that's, my goodness, it's about expressing myself. It's about, as you just said now, it's visible, like how much I enjoy. I remember as a child, I wanted to be a ballet dancer, but where I come from, where I grew up, was such a small town that we didn't have any, at least even like a dance school, we didn't have.
Hmm.
But it was something like about, I don't know if you heard about lambada. Lambada was in the 80s, a rhythm in Brazil that exploded around the world. And I was dancing every single day in front of the TV with my sister, with colleagues. Not just that, I remember once actually, and I just made me remember a situation now. My parents, I was alone at home, and I put the music, and I was literally dancing. I was literally in the living room dancing. And one point they arrived, but they didn't said anything. They just literally staring at me. They didn't want to interrupt me because I was having the time of my life. And I remember my mom, when I spot them, they kind of, just they said, okay, carry on, you're doing well. And I could see my mom like saying to my dad, look how natural the way he's doing, how natural it is. And it's interesting that now, because I had an interview with a lovely guy from Australia, I think last year, and he said to me, William, more or less the same way as you said. They said, William, that's something when you dance about between questions. I can see it's a way for you to express and put your beauty, your, let's say, not your beauty, um, your dancing passion in the show as well. And when I started doing the show, I didn't think about that. I just said, oh, you know what, let me make a bit different, let me put a little music to break the questions, to start a new question, like very natural. And I didn't think about that. And he said, well, when you dance, when you put I can see how much you enjoy that. And I love your question because it's a way of expressing myself. I could tell you so many situations that I went out dancing with friends, and people who I never met before just came up to me and said, my God, I love to see you express yourself, the way you dance or the way you move yourself. There is something there. I was like, oh my God, I felt like I didn't know what to say because I was just, dancing or, expressing myself. So yeah, it's just
Mhm.
something about maybe moving myself and sharing energy. It's something that I always done since a young age. It's something always in my blood. I love being moving myself somehow. Sometimes I hold myself. Sometimes when I'm very happy, like walking the street or something, I go like, okay, let me not, because people can look at me. My friends said, okay, I could see you far away coming to my place because you're kind of dancing the streets. So it's just a way for me to express myself. It's like listen to music or doing something that you like. It's yeah, good question. Yeah, it's something about expressing my truly self, I would say.
Yeah, no, I see that. And I think it's so beautiful, William, because I did ballet when I was little and I've always been like always danced in musical theater. And
Wow.
it's, and I think as men, I will say that you get a lot of policing when you're younger into, especially when you're an adult too,
Yeah.
um, that you're not supposed to show that creative spark. Like it's almost like stay rigid, stay unmoved, stay expressionless. And that's why I just love how you express it, because
Thank you.
I feel that from you. It's how I feel when I'm performing or in that mood. It's
Absolutely.
you need to feel that energetic magic and not let it go.
It's like you forget the word out there. It just you literally just it's a natural. It's like a therapy for yourself. You just express the way you are. You know what I mean? I think that's the beauty as well. And when you're saying that, sometimes I ask myself, if I grew up like in a big city, if I had the opportunity to do ballet dance, a professional ballet dance, I would love to have done. But when I look back, I'm grateful that I didn't, because I feel happy the way I am, and I still can express myself. I still can be. Do you know what I mean? So I think everything happened for a reason. But it doesn't matter when, it doesn't matter, which part of your life. When something that you like, you can always express yourself. And this podcast that I do, the Magic Box, in a way, I'm expressing myself through dancing as well. So yeah, good. I love
Yeah,
it. I love it.
this is a creative outlet, and no one can take that expression from you, William.
Totally.
And it's
Yeah.
like why I always say, my Nana, she passed away right at the beginning of the pandemic in March 2020, but a month before, I got to share a beautiful conversation with her. And I always have her voice in my head from that phone call, because she said,
Oh,
Andrew, I see your creative spark and I see who you are. And I know what she meant. Like, she saw that I was owning my sexuality. I wasn't afraid to be who I am. But she said, like, don't let anyone take that spark from you. Don't have regrets. And I keep saying that to everyone, that
beautiful.
like, you're never too old. You're never too young even to
Yeah,
find your creativity. Like, you want to go get a PhD? Go. Like, you shouldn't let people stop you from pursuing your dreams. If you want to go become an actor, you become an actor. So many actors don't even start until they're in their 40s or
totally.
50s.
I had all the interview with a lovely man from California as well last year. And he said to me, William, I'm my age, I'm 50, I think he was 53 years old. And he said, I found my passion at 50 years old. And
Mhm.
now he's living his best life. He's an artist and he's expressing himself like painting, doing his art. And he said, it's the first time in my life when I turned 50 where I could say, okay, I live a dream. That's what I came to this world for. And it was amazing to hear that, because again, as you said, there's no age. It could be very young. Some people they spark very young, you know what I mean? But some of them as well, it can take time. So it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
When it comes up, you just explore it and express this, their truly self. That's what I
And
believe.
don't compete with anyone. That's a
Never,
big lesson.
not, absolutely not. I think we never always to focus on your own truly self. Always, always.
Yes, exactly.
Did you have a good time, Andrew?
Oh, yes. This is wonderful. Thank you, William. I loved being here in the magic box with the magic box. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Thanks so
wonderful.
much for taking the time. And I'm so glad that we connected during this time of your life, because I can see that you are literally, living the best of your life. And it's amazing to see someone just, like through those few years, you just got to where you want to be. And now you start a new journey as well. It's going to bring you another opportunities in your life. So thanks so much for taking the time. But before you go, if you can share a positive message, something that you live by.
Yes, yes. Before that, actually, can I share out my social media?
Absolutely, please.
Okay. I will share a positive message. Don't worry. But everyone, please, because I love when I communicate with people on social media. My Instagram is at Andrew David Rimby, and my podcast Instagram is at Ivory Tower Boiler Room. So, okay,
Amazing.
a positive message, definitely. I would say, well, I think it goes back to just everything we've been talking about, which is
Mhm.
that we all know what it feels like when we are in our creative, energetic space. So when you feel that spark, see what you're doing, like what activity is causing that joy, and realize that you need that activity to thrive. So, that's like a call to action. Find that creative activity that really, gets your juices flowing, lights you up, and puts a smile on your face.
Absolutely. Thanks so much. And you keep in touch. It was a pleasure having you on the show. Okay, Andrew. Thank you.
Of course. Thank you again for inviting me, William.
Take care. Bye bye.
Okay, bye.
So, did you like the show? Don't forget to give a like, to share it, and also don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And if you'd like to be part of the show as well, first, subscribe to our channel, and after that, just go to our website, www.williamandthemagicbox.com, and send us a request saying why you'd like to be part of the show. And I see you there. Bye bye. See you next time.